Welcome to 3E TV. I'm Chuck Callahan, and Margaret will be back next week. So today we're with Professor Geraldine Ferris, and we're going to talk with her a little bit about her Impact Redesign course. So Professor Ferris, talk a little bit about you. What do you teach, and a little bit about you first of all?
Okay. I teach an interviewing course in the communication department, Interviewing Principles and Practices, which was developed about 26 years ago by a wonderful professor here who's now retired, Charlie Stewart, who actually helped start the CIE, Center for Instructional Excellence. I grew up here in Lafayette, finished my undergraduate degree in '72, and then reared my children with my husband, and came back as a master's student in '04, finished my PhD 2 years ago. And so now I teach in the comm department, and I really enjoy being the director of this course, which is actually usually 14 to 16 sections.
Okay, talk a little bit more about that course.
There are usually 24 students in a section, and taught by myself, and then I also train. I teach 2 sections, and I have TAs who I train to teach the other sections. They're in the 24 students come in twice a week or 3 times a week, anyway, 3 hours, and they learn all the various ways both to interview and to be interviewed. So the really fun part of the course is the fact that there are so many students from different majors.
Okay.
I have a few comm students, but they're from hotel, tourism, and management. They're from fashion, retail, and design. There's some engineering students, computer information and technology, students who are in any kind of management. So they're looking to manage people. So students who are in organizational leadership and supervision. So just it's a variety of students, which makes the course really fun to teach.
So talk a little bit about compare and contrast the way the course was taught before you redesigned it.
So I actually taught several sections of the course in the old model, both as a graduate student, and then once I graduated, I became the director for the course. So I have taught it both ways. I realized that as I read the literature on self-efficacy in communication in particular, I realized that the more time students could spend in actual interviews, probably the more confident they would be going into an interview. Yeah. Now, most kids take the class, they're juniors or seniors, and most of them take it because they're going on the job market. So obviously they want to do well in their interviews. But they have to learn how to ask good questions, so they have to play the role of the interviewer, and they also have to learn how to answer those questions, which means if they can play both roles, they're going to be more prepared. So the literature by Bandura, the guy who does a lot of the research on self-efficacy, when you read his material, you just realize if we could extend the time they spend in interviews, then probably they're going to come out of the class better. So this semester we're actually doing a scholarship of teaching and learning study comparing 5 sections taught in the new design and 9 sections taught in the old design. And that'll be extended into the fall semester. So I'm kind of anxious to see how that turns out, but we're basically doubling the amount of time they spend in interviews.
Well, explain to me a little bit so I understand how it was taught before and how you're teaching it in a redesigned model.
Okay, the way it was taught was the typical, they would either read the textbook before they came to, usually they read the textbook before they came to class, and they would take a quiz when they came to class, and a midterm and a final based on the textbook, and then in class you would lecture based and maybe do a little bit of exercises and stuff, but you would also then do in-class interviews, 4 in-class interviews. Okay. Now I've extended that so that there are 6 in-class interviews, and we've been able to introduce some new kinds of interviewing. It's not just employment interview that we want them to learn.
So how do you get them to cover the content before they read the textbook? How do you get that content across?
So in the new model and that's probably going to change even some more next semester, but in the new model I'm using the flipped model partially. So at the beginning of the semester they do read a few chapters of the textbook, but not as many, and then they come to class and we do exercises. But beginning fairly early in the semester, they begin to come to class and do more interviewing. And in the 2 units that I've introduced, especially the one we're doing now, motivational interviewing, I have lectures that they watch online before they come to class, and then they take a quiz before they come to class, otherwise they probably wouldn't watch it. And That way we do have more time in class because we don't have to do the lecture, we don't have to teach the material in the class.
So before they had a textbook,
Yes,
and now
we still use a portion of the
Okay.
textbook, and most of the textbook companies now will allow you to actually print a textbook that only has maybe 5 chapters out of the 10 that the students, and I'm working on that now.
now the videos. Did you produce those, or
Yes, I did.
You
I
produced
used
the videos?
Camtasia tool,
Okay.
which in Impact, the fabulous part about being a part of the Impact program is that we had all this support from tech people and library people. We were on a team of 4 other faculty and 4 support people from the libraries and ITAP. So it's been a great experience because I didn't know how to use Camtasia. I didn't know how to do a lecture online, and so that's been a really fun experience for me.
So what have you seen different with the students as far as in class, out of class? What do you perceive different?
You know, I'll be anxious to see the results of the study because it's hard for me to know. I try to do a lot of interacting with the students and get feedback from them. It's really kind of hard to gauge that right now because I'm just this year an Impact Fellow. So this is not my second year of doing it. It's my first year, and they tell us, and I think this is true, that it's going to be about a 3-year process
Okay.
before I feel that I'm at the point where my course is basically, ready to go full swing.
So do you see a difference in the students between, or you still feel like you're kind of finding your way?
I would say that I see a difference in the sense that the students do seem to me to be more, I don't know, it appears to me that they're more skilled. I do tape them when they do their interviews,
Okay.
and so I can go back and watch those. It's just hard for me to say, for sure.
What's
what
the
the
classroom
difference is.
environment like? Are they more engaged in a redesigned course?
Yes, I would say that's true.
What would that look like?
Well, like yesterday in class, before they came to class, they watched this lecture, and then and it was on motivational interviewing. And then what I do in class is we do a series of exercises. Part of it's as a class because it's 24 kids, but some of it they break into groups of 3, and they have to work through a scenario that I give them, where they break into groups of, 3 groups of 7 or whatever it was that day. And they have things that they work on, and then they share with the rest of the class what their response is to that. So that's pretty much how the class looks most all of the time. It's very interactive. And before, there was some interaction,
Okay.
but it's increased. And it's because they watch that lecture before they come to class.
What was most challenging for you about redesigning a course?
That's a good question. I would say for me, it's making these, what I consider hard decisions of how much of the textbook do I really need to use? Because if I can use the flipped model, I have several children of my own that are all through college, and I know what it looks like to have to, the new textbook that's coming out is $120. And I struggle with, well, how much do we really need that? When we can present the material and give credit where credit is due to the people who I would be using in the lectures. But do we really need to? Well, that's kind of a hard call in academia, because textbooks are part of the system. And so that's one of the struggles that I'm having actually in trying to figure out what to do, because you have this textbook people constantly calling you and trying to help you figure out what you want to do with their textbook.
Yeah.
But that's a hard one for me.
As far as your actual teaching and working with students, did you of course your topic is a little different than history,
Exactly.
but did you find anything that you struggled with in adopting a new pedagogy or not?
Yeah, in the sense that, I was in 4-H. I was a 4-H leader for years, and one of their little statements is, "You learn best by doing." We learn by doing. And so I've always had that philosophy in teaching,
Okay.
that the students are going to learn, that there are certain theories and things that they need to know and understand to whatever level. But most of the kids taking this class are taking it because it is a practical class
Right.
that they want to use for getting a job. But beyond that, when they get a job, what are they going to do with this information? Most of these kids are never going to look back at that communication theory. And I know that it's an important part of the instruction, but at the same time, how much of it do I need to teach these students? So that's a struggle for me. That's something that I have to figure out.
So what types of things did you find helpful from the impact support staff, and what are some ways perhaps they could have helped you in other ways?
Well, one of the great things is that they were always available. I think availability for me as an instructor is important. I try to teach that, or express that to my students, that I'm always available. But then also the impact staff were just there for us. So I met one-on-one with them when I was learning my Camtasia. I didn't know how to use that. I had to learn how to do it. And they were very, very helpful. They're helping me do my Scholarship of Teaching and Learning research.
Okay.
And they're providing a lot of the help in that. And as far as what they could do better, I think some of the things that we did when we had our big group meetings maybe weren't some of the things we had to read and study. I felt like a student again.
Oh yeah.
Which was good, but at the same time, I'm not sure some of that stuff was so helpful.
You kind of find yourself picking and choosing
Yeah,
what you read.
yeah,
Isn't
exactly.
that amazing?
And you read some of it, you think, this is great stuff. Then you read other stuff and you think,
Yeah.
So I felt like the students do,
Yeah, right,
when they
exactly.
read that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
very, very helpful in that sense. But overall, the impact program is fantastic, I think.
So you see yourself continuing to adjust and change and.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing more of the Camtasia lectures. I'm going to add more of that and figure out what parts of the textbook I can replace with some lectures that'll really hone in on what's really important, but maybe not have to make them cover things that they really don't need to know for what we do in the course, those kinds of things.
Well, we would like to thank you for being on the cutting edge of teaching and learning here.
Well,
at
it does
Purdue.
keeps your teaching fresh.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I think I've enjoyed as much or more than anything else, is that if I'm learning new things, it's going to make me a better teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a break at this point, and we'll come back and talk to a couple of Professor Ferris's students in her impact course. So we'll be back in a few minutes.
“嘿，朋友们！2014年中国有一期闰九月，一生难逢闰九月。”
Il lance vennero di Nivero, es en Sudáfrica.
¿Sabías que Indiana es casi 5 veces más grande que El Salvador y tenemos 20 volcanes activos?
日本のトイレはすごい。
冬でも便座は暖かいし、
終わった後後ろで洗ってくれるし。
音も出てすごい。
日本のトイレは世界で一番です。
Japanese toilets are automated and convenient, with remote controls just like for a TV or video game. Users have an amazing amount of control over their toilet, and it's all on this wireless control panel. It's super eco-friendly. This is a public toilet, and it has a unique feature. That's the sound of running water. Not only does it avoid embarrassment, it's relaxing to listen to.
Do you know that 420 different languages are spoken in the United States?
Welcome back to 3E TV. I'm Chuck Callahan, and we are with Samantha and Jacob, who are two students in Professor Ferris's class. So first of all, Samantha, Jacob, tell us a little bit about you and your major here at Purdue.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Samantha, and I am a senior studying communication and entrepreneurship. And I want to be a motivational speaker, and I also started a nonprofit. So some really great things exciting happening in May, but I have to get there first, I guess.
Yeah, I'm Jacob. I'm a senior in Krannert studying management with a concentration in human resources, and I'm working for Amazon.com when I graduate.
Okay. Well, you already know where you're going to be working.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
So tell me a little bit about this impact course experience. I know you're in an interview class, and so you'd expect a lot of interaction, but what was that like to find out you're going to be doing a different type of learning?
Well, we didn't really find out, at least I didn't, until the first day of class. And I guess I didn't really know any different, but I knew that I would enjoy the class because I love interviewing and interacting with people, and especially these communication classes where you can apply what you learn to real life.
Yeah.
I think that's very valuable. And so I was really, really excited about the course.
Yeah, same thing for me. I didn't find out till the first day, but when she went over the syllabus, I got really excited because it's an interviewing class, and to get rid of the midterm and the final and replace it with more interviews, it's more practical and more that I can carry with me into life. So
I suspect you two probably don't really enjoy the lecture going on and on and on and sitting there listening and taking notes. That's not your cup of tea?
It's not my
Not
learning
really,
style,
no.
no. I mean, I value that. Some teachers, that is their style, but I think I learn more when it is more interactive and you're able to do those things.
Well, tell me about how you think this class has helped you learn more effectively by just the style of the course.
Well, for me, I know that I very rarely do take notes.
Okay.
If you looked at my notebook, you might find like maybe half a page at most per day. So it's really nice to, put it to use and then go back and take notes on my own pace outside of class.
Do you find you actually look at the material more because you look at it outside of class?
Yeah. When I'm in class, I'm not a note taker type of learner. I really learn by actively participating. So to be able to go back and then really focus on the lectures online has been really helpful for me.
Definitely, and I mean, she also puts the PowerPoints up online, so that really helps if you, didn't make a day or you something slipped, you can go back and review. But I just, the whole interactive aspect of the class is wonderful, and just getting to know people in class as well makes it a wonderful environment that you feel really safe and you want to learn. So
how's that group work worked for you? I mean, you were enjoying it, or I mean, my experience is there's some group experiences at Purdue that's not all that positive. So what's the group work been like in this course for you?
For me, it's been really nice. It's definitely brought me out of my comfort zone. I'm not a big group work person, but I've met most of my section through interview practice. She doesn't let us stay with the same partner each time, which is nice, and it's actually applicable when you're gonna go into an interview. You don't really know the person, so it's nice that she's switching it up.
So what types of things have taken you out of your comfort zone? The fact that you're with different people at different times, what else?
I mean, that's mostly it. It's just when you do group work in other classes, you're usually picking your partners. You're picking the people who you know. And in this class, I wasn't able to really pick that. She kind of assigned us, which was really nice. That, when you're practicing an interview, are you really going to be with people that you know? So.
Absolutely. I mean, the group work is great because she, like was already stated, she does put you with people who you may not have talked to before because you don't have the same major. And it's wonderful to get to know one another. And it is really just interactive and just overall really a great experience.
So what have been the things that you've not necessarily liked about a redesign course?
I wouldn't say something I don't like because I love everything. However, I think it would have been really beneficial. We had our phone interviews, and it was really hard for me not going to class for a couple weeks because we had the phone interviews, over the phone in our own comforts of our environment at home. But I love going to class, and that was really hard for me not doing that.
I would say the same thing. The only issue I really had was with the phone interviews. My cell phone doesn't get good service. I don't know about what you think of carriers, but it would have been nice if we were provided a landline. But other than that, that's just like me being nitpicky about it.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's feedback you can give back to the instructor in the future. So are there any other things in particular that's really facilitated your learning just by being a different style course?
I think it's so laid back, and like I stated before, it's just something that you can go to class and you're excited about learning. And you can't really say that about a lot of classes, unfortunately. But Dr. Ferris does a really, really good job with making sure we're being interactive and getting to know one another. And then just her personality overall is wonderful, and she's such a gentle woman. And yeah, it's a great experience, and I'm really happy that we were introduced to the Impacts course because it is different, and it's exciting to take the steps with Dr. Ferris in this journey to like a new course redesign. So
I definitely agree, and I really just like this course because a lot of the classes that you take, you have trouble relating them to the real world. And in the future, I want to be a recruiter for a company, probably Amazon. But you know, to be able to take this, both sides of the interview, not just the interviewer, not just the interviewee, and to be able to apply it is really awesome.
So what has been challenging, maybe to revisit the question again, what has been challenging to you about the course, or what would make it even more challenging for you to perhaps learn even more?
that's a great question.
Yeah. In terms of what has challenged me in the course, when she did the phone interview, she asked questions I've never been asked in a interview before, and it really made me think, and it really broadened my horizons on what could be asked on interviews, because I've only gone through maybe 3 interviews before. So to be able to get her perspective on what she thinks is going to be asked in future interviews was really helpful for me, and kind of took me by surprise too.
So you think you would like to have more of that type of opportunity in the course?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that. And also, we're working on motivational interviewing,
Yeah.
and it's something that I'm really passionate about,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
love it. And you know, I thought, okay, like I got this. This is going to be great. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. And then I realized day by day I'm learning something new and things that I can really apply to my career and my life and my relationships with everyone I encounter. And so it's been really neat to see that, but it has been challenging to you know, realize that there are some things that you can change about yourself, and it can improve your life, and just really being humble about that as well.
Yeah, the motivational interviewing has definitely been an eye-opener for me. I thought I was really good at giving advice to people and stuff like that, but the results and the studies that they've done with this type of motivational interviewing is shocking, and it's something that I want to start incorporating more and more into my daily life.
So if a friend, a roommate, a person in the residence halls or apartment came to you and said, I think I signed up for this impact thing. What's that about? What would you tell them?
I would say do it right away, and then I would tell them that it's like a course redesign, and it's where the teacher, you know, is trying to figure out new ways to teach it, and that will benefit them, and it will be really a great experience for them.
Yeah, I would tell them it's a great opportunity to take part in a changing process, and you and your professor will get to grow through this process together. Dr. Ferris will be the first to admit she's not necessarily the best yet at it, but you know, we're getting there together. So it's a cool opportunity to make a positive impact on courses at Purdue.
But if I'm, you know, this person asks you, I'm going to say, well, what's going to be different about it? How's it different? What would you tell them?
Specifically about our class or interviewing class, or just
Or an
overall?
impact class. You kind of have an impression of an impact class. What would you tell them that would be? What would be the experience? How would it be different?
Well, based on my experience now in an impact course, I would say that it's going to be more interactive, and it's going to be, you know, a little bit more of applying what you learn to real life.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what I was saying earlier. In this impact course, I've found more real life situations than any other course I've taken, and that's, I don't know, I'm a second semester senior at Purdue, and that's a lot of courses that I've taken.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily expect, you know, to get all of this from this course, but I did, and it's, you know, it's something that I'm going to be able to take with me for the rest of my life. So I would highly suggest taking part in it.
Sounds to me like you'd recommend they.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So if I'm the student who thinks, you know, I just want to go to class when I want and take notes and then get a good grade in the exam because I've always been able to get good grades on the exam, would you tell me to? What would you tell me?
I would say, you know, I guess this is my other side coming out. I'd try and motivate them anyway to do more with college, to learn more. But And I would be honest with them and still explain what the course is. I wouldn't want to lie to them and say, oh, like you'd still benefit if that's what you want. But I would just encourage them to try it still. So.
Yeah, I think having an open mind going into a course like this is imperative. And if you really want to kind of challenge yourself and push yourself to learn a different way, is always, encouraging and I think beneficial.
So we're about out of time here. So in one sentence, where do you want to be a year from now?
Oh, one sentence? I would like to be well established in my career looking for promotion.
Okay, how about you,
One
Samantha?
sentence. I want to be motivational speaking to audiences and helping people globally.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience with the Impact course. We really appreciate, and all the best to both of you in the future. So if you'd like more information on Impact and redesigning a course, please simply do a Google search, go to Purdue CIE Impact, and that will provide you with a website with virtually all the information you need to who to contact and more information and stories from faculty and et cetera relating to Impact. So until next time, have a great day.